Hello, welcome to Jackrabbit Journal. It is signing day for college football, and we will show you some of the new talent that the Jackrabbits are bringing in this year, and a story coming up on Maya Selland, a high school basketball star who will join the Jackrabbit women's team next year. And the SDSU women only played one game last week. They lost at Omaha 83-82. The Mavericks made 16 threes in the game, and Omaha's Marissa Preston banked this one in at the buzzer to win it by one. Both teams played well offensively. Omaha had 7 different players make at least one three-pointer. The Mavericks had an amazing 24 assists and just 6 turnovers, and the Jacks played just as clean with 19 assists and a season-low 4 turnovers for South Dakota State. So 43 assists and 10 turnovers total between the two teams. Anyway, the Jacks got all of their points from the starting 5, 23 from Ellie Thompson, 21 from Maddie Giebert, 16 from Carrie Young and Clarissa Ober, but the Jackrabbit defense gave up just a touch too much, and we will talk about that with Aaron Johnston coming up a little bit later. The Jackrabbit men, meanwhile, split 2 games on the road, lost at Denver by 9. The Jacks were down by 18 in the second half, cut the Denver lead down to 6, but could not get any closer than that. Mike Daum with 29 points. And A.J. Hess with 19, but Hess was injured late in the game, a dislocated elbow, so he is day-to-day for the Jacks right now. Ian Tyson replaced Hess in the starting lineup on Saturday, and the Jacks get a big win at Omaha, 88-84. Mike Daum, 33 points and 9 rebounds. He is averaging 26 points per game in Summit League play right now. Lane Severin with a season-high 11 points in a season-high 28 minutes off the Jackrabbit bench. Chris Howell with a season-high 16 points. He has played well in the starting lineup in the last 3 games, and the Jacks have won 2 of their last 3.
I was supposed to be where I'm at now, but I was struggling, and I was just like complacent and like happy to be here. But now it's like I'm here, so I need to just embrace my role and just be the best I can be. And now like I'm just getting the opportunity to just like be myself and do the things I do well and help the team win.
Well, another guy who has figured it out is Michael Orris, who was not even in the picture in the first half of the season, but is now averaging 4.5 assists per game as the Jackrabbits starting point guard.
Whenever things are a little bit unknown or whatever else is going on, I think it's tough, but at the end of the day, you just got to stay ready. You never know when your number is going to be called, and I kept working hard, kept getting in the gym, just kept being a good teammate, and when my number was called, I was ready to go.
Well, Orris and Howell and Severin, Tyson, all those guys have been big boosts lately. Mike Daum is playing some defense to go along with his offense, and the Jacks have 7 Summit League games left to make a move. We will talk about it all with Coach Otzelberger coming up next.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dakota Land Honda, Service First Federal Credit Union, and JackrabbitCentral.com.
Welcome back. The Jackrabbit men are in a 3-way tie for last right now in the Summit League standings, which is actually better than it sounds considering how things started out. So 7 games left in the regular season, 2 at home this week that could make or break the season. And here is Coach Otzelberger on that and how it seems like things are coming together in the last 3 games. All right, TJ, 2 tough games on the road, as they all are. Start with Denver, a game that you guys were down big in the second half. Made a comeback, but just could not quite get over the top in the second half.
Yeah, I think early in that game, we didn't come out with the energy defensively we needed to. They kind of jumped on us, hit some threes early off our defensive errors, and really got in their rhythm. I mean, Denver's a physical team. They really screen you. Their guards can all make plays and shoot the basketball, and playing from behind against them is not an easy task. I thought our guys continued to fight and compete, and we kind of wedged our way back in that game, cut it down to 6 at one point late, but a good Denver team. They made their foul shots down the stretch and really never allowed us to get all the way back into the game.
And you keep talking about physicality right now, and the tougher, the more physical team is winning a lot of these games. Is that what happened here?
Yeah, that's been the case for us, whether it's been on the winning end or on the losing end. And you look at when you're in the second round of conference play especially, everybody knows each other. You know the tendencies, you know how they're going to guard you, and it comes down, and it's just kind of a knockdown, drag-out brawl. And I really felt like in the Fort Wayne game and then at Omaha, we were the team physically that won that battle. And against Fort Wayne, we won the rebound margin by 12. Against Omaha, we won it by 15. And then you see us go to Denver, and I believe we lost it by 11. And I think that's a pretty good sign of who's winning that battle physically, and especially when you look at those margins. So thought Denver imposed their will physically on us, and even though we made some shots, it wasn't enough to offset that.
All right, and then you flip it around at Omaha, and you guys lead for most of this game and hang on and get the win by 4. And you kill them on the boards, and you hold Omaha to 84 points, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I thought defensively, even though, they scored 84, but for them, they're a high-powered offensive team, and they want to go fast and in transition, and they can score a lot more than that. I thought we made them earn the baskets that they got. We took away second-chance opportunities. I think they had 6 offensive rebounds, and I think physically we did a great job. And started a little bit in the hole, fought out of it, led the majority of the game, and then had some gritty stops when we needed them down the stretch, and also made some big free throws.
All right, a couple guys that are really stepping up. Chris Howell, 16 points in this game, turned it over too much, and you guys had 18 turnovers, but still, Howell's playing very well. Michael Orris has settled in at the point, and Lane Severin, South Dakota kid, is playing very well lately.
Yeah, I think with all 3 of those guys, with Chris Howell, he gives us a great ability to attack the basket. I mean, he had some really good drives for us, knocked down some big free throws late. Chris has become a guy now we're counting on him every night. We need that production from him now every night. We need him in double figures. We need him at 6+ rebounds. We need a few assists, and we need him without the turnovers. He knows that's what we need to clean up. With Michael Orris, I don't gauge his production based on the stat sheet at all, because it's all about how does our offense and defense function. And I think he set the tone for us on both ends of the floor. I think defensively he did a really good job making them work. Offensively, he kept huddling our guys, keeping them together, making the right play, which I was really happy with. And then Lane Severin has just brought an unbelievable sense of energy to our team. Since he started getting more minutes, we've been the team that's been a little more physical. He's made some of those toughness plays. Loved the way he went to the offensive glass, got us extra possessions, especially that tip dunk. That was a pretty awesome play.
All right, physicality, that's you can get it out of those 2 guys, Severin and Howell. Mike Daum, again, had 29 in the game at Denver, 33 in this game at Omaha, and it just continues to play at a very high offensive level, doesn't he?
Yeah, to me, Mike's points at Denver, a lot of them came late. We need him to assert himself early, and if he gets going, then teams really have to make decisions. I think the difference in the 2 games is you look at in Omaha, he has 22 at half. He really, really put them in some tough spots, and I felt like the Omaha game for Mike Daum was his best collegiate game yet, because physically, defensively, he was really impactful. Even though he came up with 9 rebounds, he could have very easily had 14 or 15 because he was physical and he went to the glass. I thought on the offensive end, he stayed moving. He was a willing screener and he was active. And look, we all know Mike's a talented scorer, but when he plays with that energy and physicality, I think he takes our team to a whole different level, and that's why we're able to come away with our first conference road win.
And you've wanted him to get a little nasty at the defensive end. Is he maybe making a step that way?
I think he is. I mean, I think he did on Saturday, and we are going to continue to hold him accountable. We know he's capable of doing that, and it's the difference from us. And to me, he's going to score. He's proven that night in and night out he's going to score. We need him to do it early. But the more important thing is if he's going to assert himself on the glass and he's going to assert himself physically, defensively, and not allow them to get deep post catches, it puts our defense in a great situation, allows us to be a lot more effective. He did that Saturday.
All right, quick status on A.J. Hess. Might be back. What's the status?
Yeah, they're saying day to day, but at the same time, when we went into this with a dislocated elbow, they said it could be 2 to 3 weeks where he's out of it. So right now, we're just we're staying with the day to day. He's continuing to do his rehab and strengthening exercises. It looks like it's highly unlikely that he'd play it all this week, and then we're kind of trying to gauge from there where things could go.
Gotcha. All right. 2 really gotta-get games this week with Western Illinois on Wednesday, and then Oral Roberts coming in on Saturday.
Yeah, I think you certainly learn a lot about your team the second time you play somebody. I think we learned a lot about us against Omaha, and I think we came out with an urgency that we need to avenge that loss. We weren't proud of the way we played in front of our fans against Omaha the first time, and we did a great job with that. Well, now we have 2 other teams that are coming in here that we lost on their floor, and not in games where we got blown out by, but games where we had opportunities. And both of those games in the last minute and a half, we had chances defenses to manage possessions and finish plays. And for us, we need to take and learn from that and come in our home court with our fans and come in and start on Wednesday night against Western and be the more physical, the better defensive team and find a way to grit that thing out and come out with a victory.
All right, talking Jackrabbit women's hoop next. Coach Jay on the one that got away in Omaha, and it is Dakota week this week with the Bison and the Coyotes coming to Brookings. Well, the Jackrabbit women play at home this week. They've got North Dakota State on Thursday and South Dakota coming in on Saturday. The Jacks had a 6-game win streak going, but ran into a hot shooting Omaha team this past Saturday. Here is AJ. All right, AJ, one game to speak of this week and a 1-point loss at Omaha, and there was a lot going on in the 40 minutes before the buzzer, but what happened right at the end of the game?
Well, I wish we had 2 games because then we could talk about this quick and move on to another one. But, Omaha played really well throughout the game. You mentioned there was a lot going on, and there was, but to their credit, they really played a complete game. Had we snuck that out and gotten a win, they probably would have felt as down as we were at the end of it. But, really we got to a point where we were up by 2 and up by 1. We went to the free throw line with 4 seconds to go, made 1 free throw to get up 2, missed the next one, and really missing that free throw for them created a little bit of confusion for us. So we didn't get matched up the way we need to, and they did a great job of getting the ball down the floor quickly, throwing it ahead, and she was open and banked that 3 and really at the buzzer. So the missed free throw created enough confusion to help them out, but to their credit, the 39 minutes before that, really they played well enough to win that game too. We had a great fourth quarter, did some nice things late to get back in it, but we just didn't defend the way we need to, and we were fortunate to even be in that at the end there.
But they just, all through the game, they kept making timely threes and kept the lead. Is that how it went?
They did. We got down 12 in the second half. They just shot the ball incredibly well. We didn't defend them. And it's not a matter of they were screening well and we were losing people. Their dribble penetration really hurt us. They just took it to the basket, and when we helped, they kicked it and they made those shots when they needed to. We went to a zone in the second half, which I think was better at least limiting some of that penetration. But we gave up a couple threes late in our zone too, and just never were able to get enough stops. Offensively, we played great in the second half. After being down 12, we made a ton of plays to get back in it and get a lead. But it seemed like whenever we got a lead, they came back and made a shot to hang in there, and eventually they were just close enough to make that final shot.
Yeah, I mean, credit to them because you killed them on the board. Well, you beat them on the boards, 19 to 23 at the free throw line. You had 19 assists and just 4 turnovers. Right. I mean, you played pretty well in this game, didn't you?
We did. We played well enough to win, except defensively. They made 16 threes, and we keep talking about that, but the bigger issue for us is they took 29. Our defense is designed not to give up threes. Our defense has not ever been a defense that's just designed to pack things in and hope people misses. And we just didn't handle that part of the game very well. I wouldn't say you sensed it going into it, but we've been talking all week about complacency and making sure that we have that urgency defensively, and really that kind of bit us in that game.
All right, you get back home. South Dakota coming up Saturday, but you got NDSU coming in on Thursday, the Dakota schools, and you got to get past North Dakota State before you get back at the Coyotes.
Yeah, and it's not even, I totally get what you're saying, not even the get past idea. We need to play better against NDSU. We really snuck a game out there too. We were down big in the first half there. I think we gave up 25, 28 points in the first quarter. And it was dribble penetration again, which led to some open threes. And our defense has just got to be better in that area. So we've got an important game on Thursday to really play better. And then we'll get ready after that for USD. But, really we won close at NDSU, lost close at USD, lost Omaha close. We'll tell the team this week repeatedly that we're a couple of plays away from being undefeated, but we're also a couple of baskets away from having maybe 4 or 5 losses. And that's what a conference race should be. That's exactly what we would expect it to be as we get closer to February here. That's how important every practice is, every possession is. It's going to come down to just those few plays in a couple of games, and we want to be prepared for that. And
it has been good lately, and maybe IUPUI has been hot right now, and Western Illinois is hanging in there. It's going to be a nice race coming down here.
I think so. So much of it comes down to scheduling, who you play when and where. And in some of those teams that are right behind us, they've had probably the more difficult schedules. They've had to go on the road and play. IUPUI's probably had the most difficult. Their schedule becomes much more favorable down the stretch. Same with Western Illinois. So I remind our team, I remind our fans that don't be standings watching with USD. It could be anywhere from 4 to 5 teams that win a conference title here coming down the stretch. So we've got a long way to go. Need to make sure we play well at home, and we've got 2 important ones this week.
Well, it is signing day for college football. We will take a look at the incoming class of the Jackrabbits. But first, the story on a South Dakota high school basketball star who will join the Jackrabbit women's team next season. Welcome back. The Jackrabbit women's basketball team does a fantastic job of recruiting in the state of South Dakota. And a senior right now at Sanborn Central Woonsocket is the latest in-state star to sign with South Dakota State. Here's Jason Andera.
Starting at forward, 6'1" senior, number 44, Maya Selman.
Long before dominating games on the high school basketball court, Maya first fell in love with the game in a barn.
A hayloft of one of our barns on the farm. My grandpa converted it into a court, so it's got 2 hoops. It's not very big, and like the 3-point lines overlap and stuff, but it's awesome. Like we shot in there all the time growing up. I still go down to the barn and shoot. If you had a rough day, you could just go down to the farm and go in the barn and kind of just shoot away all your worries.
When things get competitive on the court, Maya is right at home.
I'm definitely a very competitive person. You know, I had a sister and a cousin that are the same age, like 3 years older than me, and we were always going at it. Like we played everything we did. It was always a competition, and so we've always been competitive with each other, and then that's it was fun. We got to play together, and we were competitive together against, you know, everyone else.
Since those early days on the varsity basketball court playing with her older sister and cousin, Maya has really developed her game.
Physically, she's a lot stronger as she's gotten older and matured, and defensively can guard basically anybody on the court, you know, and those are things that have really evolved since her 7th grade year and on, and those are things that she's continued to work on. And then offensively, her skill set has just evolved where, you know, she's always been that tall, lanky player that was able to get to the hoop, and now she can hit the jump shot and really has developed into an all-around player.
Her combination of height, shooting ability, ball handling, and the ability to defend all positions made her one of the most sought-after recruits in the state. Figuring out where to go to college is a challenge for anyone. But Maya was armed with some good advice from her sister Shelby, who had been through that process just a few years before.
Shelby went through the recruiting process, so I kind of got like a front row seat and that. And so when I got this kind of the same opportunity, it was like, wow, this is like a dream come true.
So Maya set out to choose from an array of area programs, hoping to land her on campus.
I had opportunities, you know, take a couple visits to colleges out of state and, you know, get in a car and drive 6 hours and kind of see, but I think the more I got around and was able to explore, you know, those options, there's something special in South Dakota, so I definitely wanted to stay here.
She ended up choosing South Dakota State, and her future coach Aaron Johnston said she came into the recruiting process with the right mindset.
Our interactions with Maya in the recruiting process were exactly what you would want someone of that caliber to be. They were never about, hey, if I come to South Dakota State, how are you going to use me? How am I going to score? How am I going to do things on my own? It was always about, well, I really want to play with some of those great players.
But before heading off to Brookings, this senior hopes to cap her season with another trip to the state tournament.
I think it definitely helps that we've been there. We've gotten to the state tournament. We kind of know what it takes to get to the state tournament. And I think last year was a good learning experience for us. I know I have a lot of girls coming back that got, you know, that taste of the semifinal game and then the 3rd and 4th place game. So we're right there. We kind of have a taste of it. So we just have to work hard this season so we can, you know, get to that state championship game.
Well, here are Sellen's numbers through 11 games of her senior season, right at 22 points, 8 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists, and according to the team stat keeper, she has 8 assists for every turnover so far this season. Up next, it is signing day in America. High school football players making their college commitments. We will show you who the Jackrabbits have coming up next.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dakota Land Honda, Service First Federal Credit Union, and JackrabbitCentral.com.
Well, today is the day that high school football players across the country sign their national letters of intent and pledge themselves to the college football program of their choice. It represents a lot of travel, a lot of hard work by the coaching staff at South Dakota State. And here are some of the guys that they will hope will be future stars and starters for the Jackrabbits. One of them is Noah Urbanek from Kearney, Nebraska. Great running back, but will play linebacker at South Dakota State. Jackrabbit recruiting coordinator Dan Jackson likens Urbanek to current Jackrabbit linebacker Christian Roseboom. Great size and great speed. Another top recruit, Daniel Callender, a defensive end from Yuma, Arizona, had offers from FBS schools, Illinois and New Mexico and Wyoming. He is 6'6", fast, and the Jackrabbits say that he could and should be one of the best pass rushers at the FCS level. The Jacks get two guys from Hopkins High School in the Twin Cities. One of them is Malik Lofton. He's a defensive back. Dan Jackson says Lofton gets the game better than most, should end up as a cornerback for the Jacks. And his high school teammate is Dan Campbell. Little guy, 5'7", who is one of the fastest kids in Minneapolis, could play either running back or wide receiver for the Jackrabbits. And along with those high-profile guys, the Jacks bring in a wide receiver named Isaiah Hill, who decommitted at North Dakota State and will join the Jackrabbits instead. Some of the other notables coming up, Jonathan Grutzmacher, a huge and highly recruited offensive tackle from Wisconsin. Austin Bowen from Roosevelt High School in Sioux Falls on the offensive line. Colton Cook from Minot High School in North Dakota. And the Jacks get a quarterback from Florida named Ethan Bullock. They get a tight end prospect from Creighton Prep in Omaha named Arthur Egan. And a handful of scholarship kids from South Dakota, Crockett Krolikowski from Winter, Xavier Ward from Canastota, Eddie Miller, 6'5", 295 pounds from right there in Brookings, and Brendan Rodert, offensive lineman from Spearfish, South Dakota. And we have live men's basketball Wednesday night with the Jackrabbits hosting Western Illinois. At halftime of that game, we will talk with Jackrabbit head football coach John Stiglmeyer about this year's recruiting class.